July, goodbye. It was way too boring. We're starting into August, at least here in Singapore. As soon as it hit August 1st, all the craziness started to drop in. And we're going to be discussing a lot of that craziness. I took some notes because it's actually, well, it's actually all over with everything. Obviously, transparency report came out from our group. We're going to cover that. We're going to talk about our new dollar cost averaging, where the community actually has a chance to win a Tesla. We're going to walk you through how does this work. I think super, super, super nice promotion for dollar cost averaging, especially at these prices. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the SEC taking action against Hex. We're going to discuss that. We're going to talk about the issues with Curve right now. We're going to talk about the rug bull with Bald and if SPF was behind it. We're going to cover the tech earnings that are happening, I think, are the main fundamental. And we're briefly going to reflect on the Fed decision from last week. 25 basis points went up. So we're quickly going to reflect on that. And we're going to preview Ord Summit that's going to happen around token 2049 in September. Yes, lots of stuff. Fabio, how are you doing? How's the week going? I know a lot of the European team members, you guys came together over the weekend, saw each other. It seemed to have been a really nice kind of group. Also good to kind of catch up with everyone, right?
Yeah, lots of stuff. You gave a little bit of a preview what we were about to talk. Like for just to comment on the last thing you said, as a remote worker, it is always nice to have these real world moments to connect because the things that usually get lost in translation when you work remote are a bit of the non-work specific topics to talk about, investing, hobbies, just having a drink together, and also, of course, a bit of gossip. That's always that's what gets lost in translation usually. So we did enjoy 3 nights in Amsterdam, and I could show our European-based team one of the, or probably the most famous city in the Netherlands. We definitely had a great time. Now fully back at work, and my God, it's never a dull moment. Like probably the two things that are most interesting to me are the slightly conspiracy theory stuff with Bolt and SPF, and of course with Richard Hart and SEC. Both of these cases, there is already kind of a conspiracy theory going, what it means, what it is. So I'm definitely super excited to talk about that. And of course, we have a big day here at Cake with our launch of the DCA product that many of our community members have been waiting for. I'm not sure. Maybe do you want to start with a specific topic, or where do we?
Why don't we alternate a bit on picking? So I'll let you pick first, whatever topic you want to go for, and and then we talk this, and maybe we just go with the flow, whatever you want to discuss. So we're gonna have enough time for everything. So we have about 7 topics. So let's do this.
Okay, like the number one topic for me that excites me, or that kind of is the most juicy or the most drama filled, is Richard Hart and the SEC.
Okay.
And because it's also a bit, we just had a brief back and forth always before we start the stream. We talk about 5 minutes, just Julian and me. Usually it's a bit private, a bit business, and of course what we're going to talk about. And Richard Hart came up. So just a 90-second version or so why it is a topic that interests me is Richard Hart was one of the people that actually got me into crypto. I was following him in 15, 16 on his YouTube channel, and he was trading back then and talking a lot about Bitcoin. And initially in 2018, 19, when he started Hex, I was pretty deep within his community, and I actually participated in the ICO, and I'm using my fingers here to put that in quote, because what Richard did is like the SEC is suing him for violating securities laws, and he always said on many of his live streams and on Twitter that Hex and Pulse Chain and PulseX is not considered a security, and the reason he gives that, really the basic version of that, is they're kind of hiding with semantics. So he's saying, hey, this was not a fundraising, but people actually sacrificed their funds, and for that reason, cannot be considered a security. And with a lot of things, they kind of use different words for the things that everybody's doing. And like he was really kind of cautious in not advertising that this is going to make profits. But yeah, if you look on the Hex webpage or his Twitter, there's like 1,000x or 10,000x best performing asset, and so on. So there was definitely the expectation of profits. So I would consider this an easy case for the SEC. There's a few things that are kind of scary. Like of course, I was reading a little bit on Twitter today, and he could potentially face lifetime in prison. And that's a lot of people will say, okay, why is that? And that's just because the amount of money we are talking about, like on page 90 of the SEC, of the US government money laundering and fraudulent activities page, you can like see how many years you get for what kind of amount. And yeah, here Martin posted that. And yeah, he could face lifetime in prison. I'm not sure. There was a lot of Twitter spaces yesterday where people were talking about this. And my personal assessment is that he is probably going to take the SEC, or he's probably going to show up in court and make this a big thing just because of the person that he is. And yeah, he feels that he's safe. Like, he talked about this in extent that he feels he's on the safe side, that he used the right kind of wording, that he launched this the right kind of way. And I kind of feel that he wants to do a similar thing as Ripple, that he kind of wants to stand up and show the SEC that he was right.
No way, Jose. I think he doubt it. Really?
Yeah, I could foresee that, but it's a bit weird because he was silent for the last 24 hours since the lawsuit made public. He hasn't made a statement on Twitter. So I'm not sure if we're going to see something.
I highly doubt that. I think the Ripple case and that case is night and day different. Night and day.
Is he just going to do a Tracy Mayer? So for everybody that doesn't know Tracy Mayer, he bought Bitcoin before $1. He was on TV and on Twitter. He was a big personality. And in 2017, he wrote a book on how to disappear, and then he disappeared.
Really? No, I didn't know.
True story. Wow. His Twitter account is still up there. And there were a few videos on him on CNBC, and he's shilling his book. And and then he wrote like a guide on how to disappear. And then he disappeared. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay.
What do you make of the whole story? Are you familiar with Hex or with his other two?
So I haven't followed Hex really at all. We just briefly covered. Like I asked Fabio right before the video. I said, "Dude, like I haven't spent a single bit of time on that, so I'm really not informed." I just wanted to I asked Fabio some very simple questions. And I said, "Okay, did Hex do an ICO?" And then Fabio said, "Yes, but they don't call it an ICO, right?" So I'm like, "Okay, the semantics don't matter." Okay, great. Was money paid? Yeah, I mean, crypto was paid, right? And the SEC is very clear that they consider this as money. Was this an investment into a corporation, to something? Obviously, the SEC on this has been very broad, also with Ripple. So I think they're just going to easily say yes on that. And then the fourth one, is this based on the work of others? Are profits being promised? And I mean, even I saw all these tweets and kind of memes that Richard Hart put out there. So I don't know. I think this is a very easy case. The question obviously is, I don't know. I think I'm not 100% sure what the question on this is.
Just maybe two fun facts before we can move to the second topic is Hex never got properly listed on most of the overview sites like CoinMarketCap. But if it would have been properly listed, like I think CoinPublica or CoinGecko, one of these two sites, they listed it with its full market cap. And it was actually in the top 3 of all crypto projects for like a year. And the funny thing is, Hex investors are not classical crypto investors. These people only own Hex, and they came in through some kind of weird marketing mechanisms like referral campaigns, and they bought the whole taxis in London, and they did a lot of print and a lot of mail advertisements. Like Richard Hart or Richard Schuller, which is his real name, in 2012 he was famous as the spam king, and he's some kind of marketing genius. Like, he has a dangerously high IQ. He's a really smart guy. He's a mesmerizing speaker, and a marketing genius. And so yeah, it's definitely something very, very interesting to follow, and a very, very polarizing figure. That's what, to say the least.
Let us know what you think about this. Let us know in the comments. Let us know on Twitter. We have not been, I mean, on Bake, we haven't listed Hex. I don't know. I honestly have never even taken much of a look at it. I cannot comment much. So I'm glad Fabio picked that topic, because I would have not known what to say much on it. I honestly didn't have much time to read into it. I saw this today and my morning here, and I didn't have the time to kind of read up on everything. So, but yeah.
Maybe I can just suggest or put
What is
one
the,
topic
okay,
on
can I
your
just
plate.
understand really quickly? Can I understand the exact allegation though? Because, okay, so it's the same allegation as Ripple faced in selling a security. Okay, I understand the, okay, I get the
Plus
allegation.
misappropriation of customer funds, because there is like a clear allegation within the lawsuit that he took 12 million of this money and bought luxury goods. That's basically in that he bought sports cars, Gucci stuff, and things that, of course, if you follow him on Twitter, you will know how he likes to dress fancy.
Yeah.
He owns the biggest diamond in the world, and yeah, stuff like that. But we kind of went through a few topics, and one of the topics I don't know a lot about, that I would prefer to throw the ball to you, is the whole curve topic, because
Oh man, yeah.
yeah,
I honestly
you
think
just,
that topic can really bite us all into our asses, and I mean this really from the bottom of our heart. So I really hope. Let me pull this up here. Here it is. So, okay. So the story is the following: Curve, which is a DeFi protocol on Ethereum, got, so some of those liquidity pools got hacked, and at the end that caused the price to drop off Curve. On top of that, the hacker is actually now communicating via Etherscan on returning those funds, and based on what conditions is the hacker going to return those funds. That led to the founder of Curve, which who is a Russian but living in Australia, called Michael Egorov, to get dangerously close in how his loan that he took out against those Curve is actually very close in getting liquidated. Now, here's a couple of things that are, in my opinion, insanely crazy. First of all, I didn't notice until actually there. I want to be very clear. I don't have a single dollar in Curve. Our company's treasury doesn't have a single dollar in Curve. I don't think we have any direct or indirect exposure there. So I want to be very clear. But this is really, really nuts. And especially potential consequences here can be very devastating. Now, first of all, he has 47% of all Curve. These Curve are unlocked, and he took out a loan of $100 million against those Curve. Now, there was an entire discussion around why, like, was he allowed to even take out this loan? Well, it's very simple. You can just take out this loan. Why would he do it? Well, because he wouldn't have to sell those Curve, and it's probably impossible for him to sell this amount of Curve. I just don't think that it's actually possible. So he took out this loan, and then obviously instantly there are these entire kind of rumors swirling around in what did he do with this. And then obviously this newspaper article came out from just 2 months earlier, where he and his wife bought 2 mansions in Australia worth around $40 million. So maybe that's already what happened there. Now, why is this so relevant? Very simple. There obviously are consequences with interest rates. And if a lot of these funds are actually being utilized, the interest rate goes up dramatically, doubles every 12 hours, for a very simple reason: to actually force people out of those loans, so that at the end, the protocol kind of stabilizes, because you don't want to have this massive exposure. Now, the problem about this is, if you don't have the money to actually pay back the loan, it could easily be that he intentionally doesn't have the money. You're going to have sale cascades. And now these sale cascades, and this is where, like, obviously DeFi is fantastic because everything is transparent, And I made this example on Twitter where actually SBF did something exactly the same with FTT. And in this case, and we're going to talk about Sam Bankman-Fried today in another story, so keep that a bit in mind. It's absolutely nuts what's going on right now. And but what's so difficult now to predict are these consequences. Even in a fully transparent system as DeFi, it's very difficult to predict how are these cascades going to be like affecting other coins, other tokens in the Ethereum DeFi space. Because now people are even going and saying, "Oh, whoa, whoa, this could affect this token because there is actually a collateral here, and if this drops, now this suddenly goes down, and then that oracle can go completely haywire and can totally liquidate something else." So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know 100% what's going to be the effect on this in the next 4 to 5 days, because that's kind of the prediction. So if nothing is done, let's say the price is stable, and obviously the question really is the price going to stay stable? Because people are going to notice. Then in the next 4 to 5 days, even if the price stays stable, so the price stays stable in the next 4 to 5 days, this gets liquidated because the interest rate is so dynamic and is so aggressive. The way out of this is that the funds get paid back, the loan gets turned down. Yeah, interesting one. I don't know. When I saw this today, I was like, oh my goodness. But then on the other hand, I was like, wow, that's DeFi. Anything that can happen will happen, and at least it's transparent. Yeah. The question, in my opinion, is, are people going to turn this story against DeFi? Are people going to say, look, DeFi has the exact same issues as CeFi? Or are they going to realize the differences in case something happens there? That's my biggest worry. Fabio, what do you think?
I think there are just a few crazy things, like that almost 50% of the curve that we're talking about, and that we just have a few days before this potential liquidation can happen. Yeah, and I even saw that the house that he took a loan on Avalanche, I think, of 100 million, if I'm
Yeah,
not
I don't know
mistaken.
where else. So there's another protocol, I think Frax or something, and he took it there. Yeah, and then that's where the cascade trickles over. I had very short time to look into the really specifics. I just kind of saw the rough over, and I was like, oh no.
But the house is a bit questionable in taste. It's definitely a huge mansion. It's definitely a villa. But yeah, some people might like it. I personally don't really find it very beautiful. But yeah, as you said, that's DeFi. If you take out such a loan, there are of course certain risks attached, and I guess it's very interesting to follow how this all plays out.
Cool. What do you want to pick next? Do you want to talk about a big topic? Do you want to talk about the SBF potential rugpull? Do you want to talk about Tether? Do you want to talk about the company earnings? Do you want to talk about the Fed? What do you want to pick next?
Um, maybe let's round it up with SBF and the two conspiracy theories, one connected to Richard Hart and one connected to SBF. So I'm just going to open this up on my screen here that I can kind of read from my screen. So of course everybody knows who SBF is. For everybody who doesn't, he kind of had that biggest exchange last year in the United States that isn't anymore, that might come back, and he's kind of under house arrest in his parents' house or basement. And there are allegations that he used a token called Bolt, which was launched on Base, a meme coin, no utility, no use case, and it got up to, I don't know, a few million, I think, in market cap, and was rock pulled just now. And the man, like, he's one of his biggest competitors, who is also bold. Like the summary of this conspiracy theories is basically thousands of ETHs are exchanged between FTX and Bolt. The Bolt deployer, which allegedly is SBF, was the first voter on all sushi proposal. The Bolt deployer tweets the same sentence structures as SBS does, so somebody did linguistic analysis there. And the Bolt deployer, so the guy that created this, was the biggest DYDX farmer, and the Bolt deployer posts there, which are anonymous, they sounds like SBF. So a lot of people, or some people, came up with the conspiracy that SBF kind of did an anonymous meme coin and kind of did a 30 million rock pull over the weekend. That's pretty much the summary of this whole conspiracy theory. Um, yeah, definitely interesting that, it, but it could also be complete dust and vapor. There is no real evidence or so. It's really just a conspiracy theory, just to not spread misinformation here. And then maybe to bring up the second conspiracy theory that I should have brought up a bit earlier, but Eric Wall made a tweet yesterday that kind of got me thinking, and he said, just imagine that Richard Hart's case against the SEC is basically the baseline, which they're going to establish a precedent, which they
Oh
are
no.
using
Oh
to come
no.
after the whole of the
Oh,
crypto space. And he said, as the last word, the last kiss of Richard Hart. Yeah, that's Eric Wall's theory or conspiracy theory, what this all could mean for the rest of us. But maybe, do you have some thoughts on SBF and Balls, or
I didn't look into this. I just put it up there. The one that I looked the most of all this into was just briefly Curve. The other is just really the news right now. That's been absolutely nuts. Yeah.
maybe we can go into a lighter, more newsworthy topic in between?
Why
Um,
don't I pull up? Why don't we reflect on Q2 transparency report and look a bit at Q3? Let's do that. I
let's
think
go.
that's a nice in the middle, and then we can talk about the other things. Q2 transparency report. It's up. We split it into the four distinct verticals. We have internally, we have like a fifth one, which is called Cake Central, which is basically the all the finance, legal, HR kind of things, and then we have those four verticals. If you read it through, brief reflection on the markets. People call Q2 actually the lost quarter for crypto, and to a huge extent, it is a lost quarter. It is actually very similar to how July was. People just forget about this because of a few things. First of all, it started with Chapella, that was Ethereum. Then we did have the regulatory stuff in May and June with Coinbase and Binance. We talked about this so much. But I think the main reason why people don't think it was a lost quarter is because of the potential of a Bitcoin spot ETF. But then if you look at everything, if you look at price and you look at all the sentiment, actually fundamentally everything went down in Q2. So you look at the interest of people, you look at downloads, you look at views, you look at new followers, all these things actually went down. The price stayed relatively stable, went up a little bit. So at the end, most of the coins ended up in a green Q2, but mainly because of the second half of June. That was kind of it. And so that was kind of the entire Q2 thing. Now we reflected on that a bit in all our shows and updates. And then when you look at the rest of the blog post, then you see the main thing there, which was obviously our restructuring. We announced that in June, and that was the entire renaming of going from Cake DeFi, calling Cake now the entire group, and the retail arm becomes Bake, and really kind of formalizing all of that. Also internally, obviously all the verticals have a bit of a different kind of culture. They have a bit of a different identity now. The other key thing in that is that from like a governance standpoint, obviously the teams are also a bit different because some teams are way smaller. They're a bit more startup-y, while others already like became a bit more scale-up-y, right? And so we're kind of keeping that identity a bit. And so I think that was very important. Highlight for me, that was my reflection. I really think the team trip was amazing. We really tried to keep cost as low as possible for that. And at the end, it became less than 10% of a monthly salary. So I think it was super, super reasonable to do this. Growth wise, here you can see some of the numbers. We have been growing. We are now at 185 people. We're going to keep growing. One thing that especially we have done on the HR side is really kind of job leveling, job training, improving the team. So I think we've done a really, really good job when it comes to all that. And the other thing I also posted on Instagram is our CMO, Sam, is now fully in. He started in that quarter. And I think that was for me, the big thing from an overview standpoint. Fabio, for you, overview standpoint, maybe also reflecting a bit on Bake, what comes to mind?
So market wise, I would agree. It does feel a bit like a lost quarter, especially, of course, as you mentioned, the ETFs and maybe also the Ripple case was kind of the hopium that got us through it. But from general market wise, there is so little interest right now. If you bring crypto up with public in the public, like with family and friends, usually they just tell you, didn't this just lose 80% of its value? It's not coming back. And you can really see that in the data when you look at app downloads, Google Trends, and so on. But I think actually these moments are is a big opportunity. Like for example, Laura Shin on the On-Chain podcast, she just had two VCs on, and they were just talking about that this is the perfect example to start as a VC to invest into crypto right now. Like valuations and things are way down. You can get much better prices, and the quality remains. So last year was a bit of a cleansing, and now everything that has substance is still here. On the company side, for me, the bigger two highlights were, of course, our fourth birthday and the revamp. So we changed our name from Cake to Bake, and we also revamped the app. For some users, especially our long-lasting community, people that have been with us for 3 years, this is a slight change, and we hear you on Telegram. You kind of need to adapt and look where the new things are. And humans are generally not very fond of change, and we know. But for new customers, this workflow makes a lot more sense, and is a bit easier to understand. And the app looks and feels fantastic. So our design team did an exceptional job there. And of course, maybe to my personal highlight, I couldn't make it to the team trip because I just became a father, and I didn't want to leave my baby boy and my wife alone. So I made the conscious choice to stay home. Kind of not regret, but I had some FOMO. I did miss a few awesome things. For me personally, the bigger highlights were team wise. We got exceptional talent in Q2. I think at least from a marketing perspective, we. I don't want to say too much, but I really have high hopes that we brought in the best talent so far, especially with our CMO and other people that are kind of supporting him with marketing efforts. And you can really see this taking form. Of course, it takes a bit of time to bring your power onto the street, but we're getting there. So I'm super excited to go into Q3 and Q4 and finish the year strong.
Yep. Maybe also kind of sneak peeking here a bit for Q3. Obviously, dollar cost averaging for DFI started today. There's going to be more coming down the line. We're going to cover that in a separate section today. We're going to be adding more coins. We're going to have way more options. And yeah, I think they just doing more of the same, improving the user experience and so on. So I think that's going to be very much, I think, expected for most people. So I'm very much looking forward to all that. Maybe to close off the rest of the group, I know most of you that are watching are more relevant, are more interested on Bake, but I still want to kind of cover that or finish it on the Levain side. This is our enterprise side. Product is live. We have our customers. You can go to levain.tech. And here we just want to really focus on adding more and more features for our enterprise customers when it comes to custody, when it comes to access into DeFi, comes access into certain applications. So yeah, that's going to be a really key focus. On the birthday research side, this is everything when it comes to open source work. Open source work in Q2 was mainly on two things. First was for Bitcoin with the Sado protocol. You can go to sado.space and take a look there. And was with the metachain layer for DeFi chain. This is obviously something we're all super much working for. The other one is where Birthday Research built products for blockchain space where we own the IP. There wasn't as much done there because there wasn't so much needed in the second quarter. But obviously with the metachain layer then coming out, I think that's when a lot of focus will shift towards that, where people will really build on that. So that was the birthday research side. And last but not least, our VC fund. We are, I don't know, I think I see about 4 to 5 potential projects a day. I mean, I get so much inbound there. And obviously, if you're looking for venture funding, send it over, contact at whisk.vc, and I'm happy to take a look. But I'm very, very, very selective. And yeah, it's just very difficult to find good quality projects. We did invest $1 million into an ordinals project. I think there's a massive momentum there, and I think this is a very good chance that within Q3 it could be very dominant in the space. But in general, we are looking and looking, and I think in Q3 with a lot of the meta chain with the meta chain layer projects coming out, we cannot invest in the token offerings that some of these projects are doing, but we can then invest into the open market, and we're definitely going to get exposure there because yeah, we want to support the space and we're very interested in that. So yeah, that's a bit of the kind of review and overview. If there's any questions, also you can just let us know. I don't know, Fabio, if there's any kind of thoughts on the rest of the things, but that was it a bit on the reflection overview.
Yeah, I think Q3 is going to be a very, very exciting quarter. And I think, so look, without giving away anything, I had a presentation of what's about to happen on the bake side yesterday midday by our product team. And they pretty much showed me a finished product. Of course, on the design side, there are some backend stuff that still needs to be implemented. And oh my God, I was surprised by firstly how good it looked and how finished it felt. And it's really going to fill a hole in the market that I think does not really exist anywhere else. And it really ties together a bit of the revamp. So, new name, new app, and the DCA into the next level of, let's say, the stair. And it will all make a lot of sense when you see the product. I don't want to give away the timeline, but it's going to be much sooner than most people anticipate. So I'm super excited about Q3. This is going to be a product that I'm personally going to be using. Yeah.
Cool. Yep. Love it. Next, what do we talk about? Do we
Maybe
keep the
we
dollar
can-
cost averaging at the end, or do you want to do it right now? I would have done it maybe at the end. Walk through, talk about how to potentially win a Tesla. There's going to be some really quite exciting kind of promo stuff going on. Do you want to talk about the Fed from last week? Do you want to talk about Tether? I mean, Tether is going to be super short. Do you want to talk about earnings in general? Or, yeah, I think these are the other topics we still have.
I have to say on tech earnings and Tether, I rather would pass the
then I'll
ball to
cover
you.
that.
But short take on the Fed decision last week. So it was, we both Julian and me anticipated this. The whole market anticipated this. They raised 25 basis points. The interesting thing, and me personally, the chart that I think everybody should be looking at is price of gasoline. And energy in general, because you can really see gasoline and natural gas and also oil in general picking up speed. And just to understand this is if gasoline is getting more expensive, everything is getting more expensive. Because it is basically the fuel that the whole world is turning on. And if you want to have a product delivered or something built or it doesn't really matter what, you're going to need oil for that. And oil seems to be picking up. The Saudis said it's going to, and if oil is going to be picking up in price, inflation will as well. So a lot of people and a lot of takes, they say we might have seen the bottom or the local bottom from inflation. It's going to be super hard for the Fed, even if they keep increasing the rates to get inflation down to the desired 2%. So there might be a possibility that they switch their targets, that they say, okay, 3% is good enough for us. This could be an outcome that I could foresee happening. But I also kind of think that we are not really done this year with rate hikes. But that's just my personal opinion. I think the market is pretty split on that currently. I haven't checked the CME page, what the probabilities are. But I guess both have a decent chance. I think no rate and a rate hike. I don't know what is your takeaway from last week's meeting.
Expected at 25. I think September is going to be a skip, and I still think November has the highest chance of another one, and that's basically it in my opinion. I think the big debate is going to be around, is the Fed raising rates right now simply to cut it further down in case there's a hard landing happening so they can really kind of rip it down? Or is the Fed actually thinking they can do a soft landing and they kind of need to kind of get that like stabilizing act going? And I think that's a bit of the bigger question here. I still am in the camp where I think we're going to see a bit of a harder landing than most people want to admit that they're expecting. Yeah, it's my thoughts on that.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Especially if we see the price of gasoline continue to rise, the best thing that could happen to Jerome Powell and the Fed to really bring inflation down is a recession, and kind of a not an easy recession, not a soft landing, but a real recession, because there is nothing better to have a deflationary force and to bring inflation down than an actual recession. So I kind of think that this is what they were aiming for all along.
Yeah. Cool. Then Tether, really quickly, I think it's one of the key things to always watch. Tether came out with insanely strong numbers. They made, $1 billion in profit in Q2. I mean, this is just bonkers. I posted about this as well. Basically, they have very little risk. They have very little overhead. I also then obviously mentioned, I mean, it's either this and they are like one of the best businesses in the world, or they are a total scam where you cannot really trust those numbers and they're just kind of trying to signal that everything is safe. There is not going to be anything in between. That is going to go, both of it at the moment seems to be going until that point when that regulatory arbitrage is closing. The regulatory arbitrage has been one of the main use cases in crypto so far. And in stablecoins, this is that most stablecoins are not treated as e-money. They are treated as a DPT and like Bitcoin. And the question obviously is this correct or not? And as long as this stays, and I don't want to be the judge on this. I think it's very difficult to judge this. But as long as this stays, this use case is going to be there. And that's as long as Tether is either going to be able to run this as a scam or be one of the most profitable businesses for this time frame that we have ever seen. I am not personally all too worried about USDT. I don't think that's my biggest worry right now, especially at these interest rates. So yeah, because even if they have a small hole in their balance sheet, then with these kind of rates, I mean, they're printing money. I mean, yeah, I think no one doubts that they don't have serious amounts of money. The question is just how much do they have? Do they have it all? Do they have what they say? Why can they not get audited? Because it should be super simple to actually be audited. I don't understand why the audit is so difficult. That's really probably my biggest issue. Look, we have done an audit. We've done an audit every single year, even the first year. I mean, we did this later. We're getting audited for last year. I mean, we can do an audit. So if we can do an audit, and our audit is probably 10 times more complex than that of Tether, I just don't understand why Tether cannot get audited. So to me, that's a bit dubious, but that's basically really the only thing. Fabio, thoughts on that?
Yeah, the whole Tether thing, like since the day I came onto crypto Twitter, Tether is there's always rumors about Tether, and that they're not legit, that they're blowing up, that that is a big risk, and it kind of kept us following along until now. And there's even big guys like the only financial outlet or the only Substacks I'm paying for is Doomberg. I really love his takes. I really love the whole. And the only reason for him as a no coiner that he's not coming into crypto is Tether. And I kind of hear that a lot from people on what is their main criticism or why do they think crypto is a bit shady or a bit dirty or whatever. A lot of people point to Tether. So I'm on the same page as you are. Like the best thing would just be if they could get a 10 out of 10 audit. And I'm not sure why they don't do it, because it would make things much more easier for all of us and for them as well. It would be kind of a confirmation that they have somewhat of some minor audits, but not really the 10 out of 10 stuff that people are looking for, like an independent party, as we have what you call a PCAOB audit. I'm not even sure what the letters are standing for, but it's like the best out of the Like if you want to get listed as a public company at the New York Stock Exchange, this is the best out of the best audits that you can do. This is the kind of audit that Bake as a company or Cake Group did, and this would be an audit that Tether should do as well. And they definitely have the funds. So yeah, why are they not doing it?
No, I mean, and again, they wouldn't even have to do a full PCOB audit, right? You could do an audit based on a different standard in a reputable jurisdiction. So PCOB is very specific to the US. At the moment, I understand that they wouldn't, let's say, they couldn't do a PCOB audit because I don't think anyone, for example, I also want to be very clear, we're not doing a PCOB audit now that our listing plans are on ice because PCOB audits are super expensive, super difficult, it could cost so much head work from everyone that makes no sense. But we're using a different audit standard that is not for the US, like an IFRS standard. IFRS standard can also be accepted by US companies. It's not as common as a PCOP standard, but it's also possible. It's very audity terms, right? So even if they went and said, okay, we're doing an IFRS, an audit based on IFRS standards, everyone would be like, okay, that's absolutely fine. For example, London Stock Exchange, all of these exchanges, right? They would all accept an IFRS standard. So it's complete, that would be completely legitimate. But them basically only doing attestations is, in my opinion, the really, really, really questionable part. So I just want to be very clear on this. You wouldn't have to go basically all the way of what we had to do. And I probably think that except for Coinbase, who has to do PCOP standard audits, because they are listed, I don't think anyone right now is actually doing PCOP standard audits because it makes zero sense. It's just, you're just burning through money. It makes no sense. So, and I don't think Tether would have to do this. I don't think that's needed. But they should have some audit. So, yeah. Cool. That's the news around crypto. Let's talk the key thing news when it comes to general markets. That's the big tech earnings. Big tech earnings have been superb. I want to be very clear on this. We have seen last week's earnings that were insanely strong on the large tech companies. We are seeing Apple and Amazon this week. Everything looks very, very strong. A couple of things I want to be very clear on. I mention this all the time. I do think the tech stock market is overbought. I think it's incredibly expensive right now. I would be a bit cautious if you are FOMOing into this. That's just my personal thoughts. Obviously, no financial advice on this, and I may be completely wrong. Yeah, I mean, look, and people then say, yeah, you're just saying this because you're in a crypto company. Fair, but like whatever. I still, I mean, I do with my own money what I think makes the most sense for my own money. And I've been rotating out of some of those gains and put them into dollar cost averaging now into crypto because I just think there is, for me at least, a better chance that in crypto we're seeing a bit of a sideways market. I'm not expecting much of a bull run or something in crypto right now, but I'm expecting more of a sideways market that's just really good for me to dollar cost average. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. And but in general, I want to be very clear. At the moment, it looks very strong in the US economy. The European economy is not good, but the US economy right now looks really good. But that's based on earnings and stuff. I just don't buy it. But again, that's me basically being a contrarian, not actually basing this on data and facts. Fabio.
You know, the funny thing is when the data and the facts look the strongest. So nobody ever expects a recession. And in the dot-com and in the great financial crisis, a month or two before, the data and the economic data and all of these things, they were great. But usually recessions and like black swans or unprecedented events, they happen because you cannot foresee them. And I kind of get that same vibe. Like everything looks so good. Like in the US, you can look at anything. You can look at unemployment. You can look at economic growth. You can look at earnings. Everything seems to be so good. Like there is not a black mark in the data that you can say, okay, we're going to get into a recession or things are really like kind of peaking and turning over. Like I listened to some talks where specifically to Apple, and they're going to bring out a new iPhone, very very likely, and they are the forecast for these numbers and the pre-orders and so on. They are pretty good. So like from you could expect the company to do even better than they are doing right now, just by all the forecasts and the data and the things that are coming. Of course, in Q4 we're going to Christmas time, and we have Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all of these things, which are expected to bring in even more money. From a data perspective, you cannot really see that things are slowing down or getting worse. But yeah, usually the bad stuff happens when nobody's anticipating it.
Yeah.
So I don't own a lot of stocks right now. I picked up a few. Like, there is this whole category of like Uber, Palantir, Coinbase that kind of had that L chart where they had an IPO and then it just sold off and kind of slowed down. And all of these charts, there's like a two handful of charts, they're really picking up and kind of having a mini parabolic run up. These are some interesting charts, but also there, are we just buying into to hype and it's going to turn over? Yeah, I don't know, but tech is definitely something to keep an eye on. So we do have like 12 minutes left for our
Yep.
official time.
I'll do a
Do you
quick
wanna hit us
announcement.
off?
I'll do a quick thing on the Ort Summit, which
Yeah.
Birthday Research is organizing. So if you are interested in ordinals, if you want to come, or if you are in Singapore, anyways, for Token 2049, this is an event that's just the day before. So yeah, go to ortsummit.com and join that full day event. There's some really, really cool speakers, especially if you're into that space. So Audits is going to be here. There's VCs are going to be there. There's going to be actually their own. Here you can actually see the entire list. Yeah, it's really quite a cool group. They're going to have some nice panel discussions. So they're going to have quite some discussions on all that. There's going to be artists who are going to be presenting. So yeah, ortsummit.com. Going to be a cool setup. And it's great work what Birthday Research is doing there. That's really part of the Sado protocol, which is going to be built on top of Bitcoin with the mission to make Bitcoin useful. I think that's really key.
Just maybe a side note, if you are from Singapore or you're traveling to Singapore for Token 2049 or for Ort Summit, please let us know. Drop us a DM on Twitter or tag us somewhere. Drop me a DM on Telegram or on Twitter, and we would like to maybe arrange something small for you. If you're planning to take the journey to come to Singapore for either of the two events, please let us know.
Yeah, it's going to be a super packed week. On Monday that week, we're going to do a meetup. That's going to be a bake meetup. So that's going to be at our office. Wednesday is going to be Wednesday is going to be Ort Summit. And then there's 2 days of Token 2049. And then it's Formula One. It's going to be a super, super, super packed week. I'm very much looking forward to that. Yeah. Cool. Let's go to the crown jewel of the announcement. Let's talk how you can actually win a Tesla. Let's discuss this through. So, first and foremost, we have started to offer dollar cost averaging. Now we're starting with DFI for the very simple reason because we can offer DFI without any credit card fees, processing fees, and so on. There is still going to be the DEX fee. I think that's 0.5%. It doesn't make any sense for us to work around that because we would just kind of be biting the system. So we're covering all the processing costs, all the credit card fees, and so on, which means if you dollar cost average, you're not only going to get points and miles from your credit card, you basically also can buy DFI at market price. It's the best price you can buy it at. There's no cheaper price. It's just not possible. If you do that, then we give you a bonus on top, and that bonus you can either keep like flexible, lock it in for longer, and the longer you do this, the more returns or the more bonuses we give you for a very simple reason, because obviously we also make rewards on that, and that allows us to offset the fees, obviously. So this is then how this works. So depending on the minimum you have to do is $10. I think let's see if someone figures out the maximum. Let's play it. Let's make it a game. Let's see if you can figure out what the maximum is. So after 10,000, there is the maximum bonus. So you can get 5%. If you lock it in for a year, so you lock the 10,000 or more in, you get double because we can actually make so much more on these returns. So that's quite cool. If you're an elite, so it makes a lot of sense to be elite, you're gonna get an extra percent on top simply because we can take that from elite. So you can get actually 11% on top. So that's a lot. I can give you a personal bonus on top. I'll pay you $1,000 from my own money if you figure out what the max is that you can do. Let's see if someone figures it out. It's actually very tricky to figure out, and you have to give me the exact amount down to the cent. So let's see if someone figures it out. Obviously, any employee at the company is not allowed, and if there's any personal connections to the person guessing it, also not allowed. Because I tell you, it's not an easy to guess number, and that's for very specific reasons. So that's how you do the dollar cost averaging. Again, we cover all the fees. Very simple. You dollar cost average in. Minimum is $10. To me, absolute no brainer. Perfect to kind of grow your stash and all that. Anything to say there before we go around the promotions that are currently going on around this, Fabio?
I tested this last week. So one of the benefits working at Bake and having a good relationship with our product team is sometimes I get access to features a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks ahead of time. And I set it up last week and smooth sailing. Like especially if you already have signed up as an elite, you don't need to enter any information or something. It's just pressing 3 buttons basically, and of course entering a number, which I'm used to. Back in the day, I used Coinbase for recurring buys on TCA, and it's a lot smoother than the process that they use. So I'm pretty proud and pretty happy that we are offering it in that way. And please have a look. I think we have a very, very low minimum. I think, I don't know, minimum is $10 or even lower than that.
No, $10 is the minimum.
$10 is the minimum. Yeah, best market price out there. If there is, please, if you can find a place where you can buy it cheaper, please let us know. But yep. It's almost impossible that there is. So yeah, I'm very, very happy about that feature. And of course, we're not going to stop there. We have different things planned to expand the offerings in Q3, or yep. Let's say before.
Of course, yeah, we will always. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna look for adding more coins and so on. Now, the key thing, we're gonna have a really cool promotion around this. It's called Baking a Hot Summer Giveaway. How does it work? There's 2 ways how you can benefit from this. The first one is simply by you, obviously dollar cost averaging, getting a bonus on top of that with the rewards, depending on if you stay flexible or you lock it in, how long you lock it in, and obviously, hopefully, by the price of increasing over time. This is the main way. But now it gets really cool. Whenever you dollar cost average, you get a so-called ticket, and you get this every time, so you can collect this every month. And this ticket allows you to then participate in a raffle. Now, if you refer someone, and it also works on existing referrals, that's important, right? So if you have referred someone already and you tell these people to start dollar cost averaging, then this also counts. So it's not a new referral, it's really about the referral right now. If they have to set it up. So that's the key thing, right? So you can only get this once. So you don't get this every month, but only for setting it up, because otherwise it's a bit unfair. Then the people who set up or who tell people earlier have a higher chance than people who do this later. So we just want to be super fair. So it's really for the setting it up. So that's a really key thing. The other key thing how you can get more tickets is simply by being elite. So if you are elite, you get double the tickets than if you're not elite. So yeah, I think really, really straightforward. You can see this here. Key thing, you fix your, you lock your DFI in. You are elite. That's how you can get the most rewards, the most tickets. And at the same time, if you have someone who does this, so you refer someone, you can also get more tickets. So I think super straightforward. Also, we really want to put value to elite here. So hopefully more and more people start seeing the value in this. Now, this allows you to collect tickets, and depending on how many people are doing dollar cost average. So obviously this has to be mathematically working out for us, right? Otherwise it doesn't work. So the more of our customers do this, the higher the prices that we're raffling off. And if we can hit 1 million users doing that, and I'm sure we can, I mean, I'm not sure we can do it in August. That would be amazing. I would be really, really excited about this. I think maybe it's going to take us 2 to 3 months with everything. Let's see. Let's kind of see if we can challenge this. I mean, maybe the marketing team can be really, really good. Maybe the community is going to be very strong. Let's see. Then we move up there and we start raffling off more and more. And we're going to do this every month, right? So, yeah, it's going to be really, really cool. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. Referrers also get a small commission, and that really depends on how many people are doing their recurring buys. So yeah, we really want to, obviously, on the one hand, get AUM onto our platform. We also want to help the DeFi chain community because this should really help the DFI price in the big picture of it. So all of that is, in my opinion, really good. So I also hope that the DeFi chain community really rattles around DeFighters, like setting up their DCA, obviously getting cash flow in it. If they don't want to do it at Bake, if they want to do it somewhere else, I I mean, here as the CEO of Bake, I hope you do it at Bake. But I also understand if you want to control your private key. I also understand if you want to do it somewhere else. I'm cool with all of that as long as we can really drive, get momentum. And I think that's absolutely the key thing. So, yeah, very much excited to see how this is going to turn out. We have never done a promotion like this. It's a very, very creative promotion. Obviously, the marketing team has really stepped up there. There is a lot of exciting ways for you to win. And I mean, at the end, it doesn't cost you anything because what you're doing is you're buying DFI and you're getting that amount of DFI. So, yeah, I think absolute no-brainer. Even if you just want to have a chance to win, then at least do the minimum of $10. But I hope that you really believe in this. Go long term, $50, $100, $200. At the end, you need to stack and build up your stash in all of that. So these are a bit of my thoughts. Fabio, your thoughts?
Yeah, if you're on live on Twitter, you will see the pinned tweet. So if you open the space section of Twitter, you will see the pinned tweet with the promotion pinned to it. Of course, if you go to our website or to our app, you will find the promotion there as well. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can scan the code on the top left corner of the screen. So for me personally, the promotion is kind of on all verticals. And it really is a community promotion because it is basically a bit of a win-win. As Julian said, you're not paying any fees. You get the best price everywhere you look. You will not be able to find a better price. Plus, you will get personal bonus, and it is an interesting referral component in there as well. So I would say it's a win for us as a company. It's a win for the community. It's a win for also the DeFi chain community. And I really think that this is a great promotion. I already set up my DCA. I kind of need to wait another 3 weeks for it to actually create a ticket because I was a bit too early in the beta phase of the promotion.
Because you were in the beta launch, yeah, and you did, yeah. Oh, that was also, oh man, yeah.
But that's fine with me. Yeah, so no, I'm super excited. Make sure to check out the promotion, and also please, can we do something small? Like we are about 30-ish more people here in the Twitter space. Please click the tweet, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a retweet, and share some love for our social team. They did a great job in both the design. I think that the yellow background, it's something really different. It's a different promotion than our other promotions. And also the video that Ariel recorded, it's fun to watch, and overall, just share some love.
Very, very cool. Yeah, there's my new car. Yes, cool, great. I think on the dot, we went through a lot of stuff. Quite exciting. Fabio, anything else? I don't think so. I think we really went through everything. Looks really good. Yeah, a lot of stuff happening. Dollar cost average. Get started. And yeah, if you're not subscribed already, that's your chance. Please subscribe to the channel. Remember, you subscribe to the channel, prices go up. The reasons I think why the price went down over the last week is not all of you subscribed or follow us on Twitter. You see? And that's how the crypto gods are punishing you. So, yes. With this, thank you so much. Fabio, appreciate it. See you all next week. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye bye.